Hey guys, welcome back to JavaScript tutorial. This is Sharful. In this lecture we're going to learn looping statement. So what is loop? So loops are programming process to execute a block of code for a number of times. Loops are handy if you want to run the same code over and over again each time with a different value. Loop is the smart idea to choose. So we all know this loop is it's one of the programming process that's help you to execute same block of code if you need to run number of times. So other than writing the same block of code again and again, you can just run put the block of code inside a loop. There is different types of loop are available in the programming language, and then it can execute as per your loop's condition. So that's the very simple concept or statement about the loop. So there is a different types of loops are available in JavaScript. Example, for loop. So loops through a block of code a number of times. There's a for in loop, which is very specific for JavaScript. So for in loops, it means loops through the properties of an object. We've seen in JavaScript you can assign the different type of different properties in a variable. So it means properties, it means there will be key and value. So for in loop can help you to loop through those properties, those key through of an object. And there is another specific loop for JavaScript, which is for off loop. The for off loops through this loops through the values of an iterable object. So it's an example, it's an array. In an array is an in the JavaScript is an object. In this object, in array, you can traverse, you can iterate, or you can traverse following the index number through this for off loop. We'll see each and every loop in details with some example. So next one is the while loop. So while loops through a block of code while a specified condition is true. So while loop is it continues the loop as long as a specific condition is true. And next one is do while. Do while is very close to while loop, but the difference is that do while also loops through a block of code while a specific condition is true. The only difference is the do part. In do while loop, there will be do part. There will be code block of code for do part. So that part will be run at least once. Doesn't matter next to your while loop condition is true or false. If even a false the condition, the do part will execute at least once. Okay, that's the main difference between while and do while. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to learn more in details about the while and do while with some example, with some real case example. And in our next lecture we're going to learn all about the different types of for loop in JavaScript. So let's go for the while loop. So what is while loop? So while loop loops through a block of in the while loop, it loops through a block of code as long as a specific condition is true. Let's see the syntax. What is the syntax? The syntax is there will be while keyword. This is a keyword or reserved word, and there in a bracket there will be condition, and this is your body of the while loop, the code, the block of code you want to execute as long as this condition is true. Okay, while if the condition is true, your compiler get inside, it will execute the code, and it will go back to your condition again. Okay, it will go back to your condition again. It will check the condition. If the condition is true, it will get inside the your block, inside the body, and it will execute the code. So this way the loop will keep continue as long as the condition is true. When the condition will be false, it will be jump out from the loop. It will not get inside the block. So that's the very simple concept of while loop. So this is the syntax. Let's see an example. So example, it's we're going to print number 1 to 10 numbers. So 1 to 10, the ascending order number, if we want to print following while condition, following while loop, what would be the example looks like. So we can have a variable I, and since we have to print, or we have to start 1, so we put the starting value, which is 1. We can assign that 1 to I in a variable, and then we have a var, another number, empty variable, so there is nothing, it is an empty variable, and then we're saying while I less than equal 10. So so because we have to run the loop from 1 to 10, so that's why we said I less than equal 10, which is 1. The first we have I equals 1, so 1 less than equal 10, so it will start from 1 up to 10. So loop will continue from 1 to 10, and we're saying while this condition is true, puts the I, it means 1, I on number variable, because number it was a empty empty variable. So it means the first time I equals to 1 equals to number. So on the number variable we put the I, which is a 1. So next line is console.log the number. So we print the number variable, which is the 1, and then we increment the value of I. So I is now 2. It will go back to over here in the condition. So I is now 2. 2 less than equal 10. Yes, true. Come over here again, puts the I, which is 2 equal in a number variable, and then print the number, which is 2, and then increment I now 1 plus plus, which is by increment by 1, which is 3. So it will go back to over here. I is now 3 less than 10. Yes, true. Then number of I, num of I equals to 1. Yes, it is true, right? So 3 equals to num, so print the 3, then increment by 1. Now I is 4. So same way, every time it will increment, will come over here, and it will put that value of I to num variable and print that num, and then increment by 1. So it will keep continue. It started from from 1 up to 10, when the last time after it's print num, which is 10, and then I will increment 10 to 11. So now it's I 11. It will come to over here. So I is 11. 11 less than equal 10? No, it's a false. So your compiler will jump out from the loop. So this is the way you can print number 1 to 10 as an ascending number using while loop. Okay, so now let's see the do while loop, and then we'll do a same example in our the code play. So what is do while loop? So the do while loop is a variant of the while loop. This loop will execute the code block once. Okay, this loop will execute the code block once before it checking the condition is true. Then it will repeat the loop as long as the condition is true. It means since it has a do, so there is a two-part. It has a two-part, one block for do, and then there is a while keyword, and there is a condition. So do block will execute at least one, whether the condition with the while is true or false. If it's a true, it will keep continue. If the condition even false, it will execute at least the do block, since the do block is the first, then the while condition. Let's say the syntax. So here is the syntax. Here is the do keyword, and then this is the the code or block of code to be executed for the do. So and then a while keyword and this condition. So your compiler will start come over here do, and then it will automatically get inside the body of the do, right? Because there is no condition, nothing. So it will execute this part, and then it will come over here. There is a while condition. If the condition is true, your compiler will go back to in do block, and it will execute the the do block, and then it will check the condition again. If the condition is true, it will go back to do and execute the code of the do block. So this will keep continue, the loop will keep continue as long as the condition for the while condition is true. When the the condition is false, it will not go back to the do block. Okay, so same, if we see the same example for printing 1 to 10 number using the do while. Okay, so we say same, we declare a variable I, and since we have to start 1, so we set a 1, we assign 1 to I variable, right? And then your empty, another variable is a num, and then do, we're saying do I equals to num, so I is not like 1, so num equals to 1. So console, you are printing the num, so it is will print 1, it will, and then I plus plus increment I by 1, so it is now 2. Then it will check the condition 2 less than equal 10, yes, it will go back to over here in a do block over here. Okay, so now I is 2, so 2 will assign to num, it will print the 2, it will increment by 1, I is now 3 less than equal 10, yes, it will go back to again. Now 3 will assign to num, it will print the 3, and then it will increment by 1, which is 4, so I is now 4, and it will check 4 less than equal 10, yes, it will go back to the do block. This way it will keep continue, a loop will keep continue as long as the the value of num is 10. So the last will be, after it's print the value of num or I is 10, it will increment by 1, so I will be then 11. So when it will check the condition 11 less than equal 10, no, it is false, so it will not go back to do block. So that's the way you can use do while loop to print 1 to 10 number as per ascending order. Okay, now let's go back to our code play, so that we can this example we can write the code and we can play it and we can see the output. So here we are back to play code, and now we're going to first we'll check the while condition, right? We're going to print 1 to 10, the ascending order, following ascending order, and then using while loop. So what would be the loop? So let's see while loop. So we know the while loop, it started with a while, right? It started with the while keyword, right? So let's over here we'll say variable, we declare a variable I equals to, so it started with a 1, right? And after that we say var, another variable is called num equals to, say it's empty, right? So and then our while keyword, right? And the while keyword, what would be our condition? I less than equal 10, so I equals to 1, and it will, we need to run from 1 to 10, so that's why I said equal, less than equal, right? This is the while condition, and then this is the body of the while. We're saying num equals to, let's put the I to num variable, so the value of I will assign to num, and then we can print the num variable, which is the value of I, right? We say console.log, let's put inside that num variable, right? And after that, so it will print the num variable, which is the value of the num, which is the I, the value of the I, which is started with the 1, and after we have to increment, we have to move to the next, like 2, so that's why we need to add increment the value of I by 1. Okay, so it will be 2, and then it will move to the now it's the 2 will less than check the condition 2 less than 10, yes. Then now num is 2, it will print the 2, then it will increment by 1, 3, so it will keep continue until this part will print 10. Then when its I's value is 11, it will false this condition, it will not run anymore. You can see already on the console it's printing 1 2 3 4 up to 10. Okay, you can put something over here, maybe let's put console, let's put some console log, maybe something nice, some okay the value of print the value of 1 to 10 as below. Okay, so we can say printing the value of 1 to 10 as below. Okay, so this will show something, you can see nice, and then it shows the 1 to 10, right? So that's the the use case of while. Okay, so you can use a while, that's the way. And there is some real, the same thing we can use in real life. In a real life, so using a JavaScript. Okay, let's go to the JavaScript, using the JavaScript. So let's, in the JavaScript, it means if you use the JavaScript object for the same while condition, it will print the value. Over here we use console.log, which is print on the console. So if you use the JavaScript object to print that 1 to 10 value, it will show over here in real life on a browser, right? So let's see how can we do this. So we'll add a JavaScript tag. So example, this is our index.html code. So here is our body, and this is a closing body. Inside we have a one header, we said a JavaScript while loop. You can see this is the JavaScript while loop, and here we have a one paragraph, empty paragraph. You can see P, it's P, closing P, and we just pass one ID equals to demo. So there's nothing, right? We didn't put anything over here. We said this is an empty paragraph. In this paragraph, in this paragraph we're going to print the number 1 to 10, all those things, right? Something. So here is a closing body. So now we're going to create a script as a JavaScript. Okay, so we're using a JavaScript example. Okay, the JavaScript file, we know this. You can add the JavaScript file inside the index.html file, or you can add this script file separately, and you can pass the you can pass the path, root directory of the JavaScript file. So but in this example, we're going to add the JavaScript file, JavaScript tag inside this with the index.html code, the same file. Okay, so how can we do this? Let's here is a example. Yes, so here, so we added, let's add this part script. So you have to add after you closing the body, so script tag. So same thing we're doing, we did over here. Okay, same thing we did over here, we're going to do here the same. We declared a variable text, or num, whatever you said, say text, and this empty text, and variable another I started with 0. If you started with the 0, okay, you can, so let's start it with the 1, I would say 1, and let's put this one, and then your condition same is I less than equal 10, so it will print 1 to 10. And then here we're saying, in the text variable we have to add the add on text variable. What do you want to add? We said you can say this is a break, this is the HTML code, so it means BR, it means break, so that it's after, first there will be, every time there will be break, it means it will have a new line. Okay, so new line, and then it will print the number is, so this is a string, and then plus I, so I, whatever the value of the I, the first time I is 1, so it will say the number is 1. Okay, and this value, the number is I, which is number is 1 2 3 4, this will add to in text variable, in a text variable. Okay, and then it will increment, the value of I will increment I2 by 1, so it will be, for the first time it will be 2, so it will go back to here, right? It will go back to here, but right, it will go back to here, and then it will increment, I now is 2, so it will again same thing it will do. So you can see the text is holding the first, just remember, notice that the text variable, it has the first, it has a BR break, so it is holding this value, the first value, like the number is 1, I is 1, then the second time when the loop will run, it will have the break first, so it will move to the next one, next line, and then it will have this value, the text, the number is I equals to now is 2, So same way it will keep continue. Every time it will move to the next line and it will have the value as number is the value of I as per the increment, right? So text is the variable is holding all the lines, you know, like line from 1 to 10. There's a 10 lines. It will hold, it will have the knowledge, and then finally after the when is a value of I is 11, this condition will false. It will jump out from the loop. It will find this line. So in this line we're saying document, which is the JavaScript default object. You know, JavaScript default object is used to call any web element in this HTML page. So we're saying document.get element by. So this object is, as I said, is used to call any web element. So we're saying get element by ID. What is the ID? For this paragraph there is an ID. That's why we declare ID is demo. So we're passing the value of the ID, which is the demo. So this object will find this element, so it means this paragraph, okay, and dot inner HTML method, and then equals to text. This text variable we're passing over here. So it means this text variable is holding 10 lines as the number is value of I. So like 1, then a new line number is value of 2, then new line number is value of 3 up to number value is 10, something like this, right? So it will print it, right? It will print it in, it will show this all this line in your browser, you know how, and it is placing where this all these things, all the this values placing is over here in this paragraph. And how it's placing up there, because in this paragraph we declare a properties is called, or attribute is ID, and a value is demo, and we're calling that ID, this this property, by using our document JavaScript object, using get element by ID. Get element by ID is the method, and we pass the value of ID is demo. So it means this part is to find this area. And dot inner HTML is the method of JavaScript. This will help you to put inside an inner HTML, which is the HTML, which what is this, the text system equals to text. We pass the text, it means, so it is over here is text variable. Text variable is nothing, it's all this, the line, the number is 1 2 3 4 up to 10. So this is one of the use case of JavaScript, using the while loop. Okay, so I hope you understand. That's why I showed the first just the while condition, and also I'm also showing the while condition using JavaScript object. Okay, so let's move on now. Next our next condition, our next loop, which is the do while. So if we want to print this, do the same thing, let's say in a regular way, just using the regular way, right? So here is the same things we're doing. You have a var I equals to 1, and then var num is an empty variable, and we're saying do the first, in a do block will execute at least once, whether this condition is true or false. Even though it's false, it will, since the do block is the first. So right, so we're saying, let's put the comment this guy. Okay, so let's uncut this. Okay, you can see now. So in do block, now we're putting the I to, we're assigning I to num variable. So it means I equals to 1 to num. We're printing this one, so the 1 will print, and I will get increment by 1, so which is 2, and then it will check the condition. The while condition is here, right? So you can pass the while condition here. So 2 less than equal 10, yes, is true. It will go back to the do block. Now I equals to 2, it will print the 2, and then it will increment by 1, which is 3. So 3 less than equals 10, yes, true. It will go back to here. Num equals to now 3, so it will print the 3, and it will increment by 4. So this way it will print up to 10. When num I equals to 10, it means num equals to 10, it will print the 10, and then it will increment. I will increment by 1, which is 11. So I now is 11. In this condition, 11 less than equal 10, no, it is false. So then it will jump out from the loop, and this way it will print 1 to 10. Okay, so now let's go back to the same example using JavaScript document object. If you want to do the same thing, we can say what do we have to do. So let's see what do we have to change up here. So here we're going to say script. So our text is fine, I equals to 1, then we'll say do over here. Do, we'll put the do, let's copy this, let's copy this guy, and we'll have a do block over here. Okay, do, and then we'll have then do block, do text equals to right, the number is I, then I got an increment, and then we'll put the while condition here. While condition is here. Okay, and then this supposed to run. That's fine, should be run. Okay, so this is the way you can see over here. Now this is, since we're using JavaScript object, so it will print, it will show on a live view on your browser. So this is a browser view, right? So the same way, or the same problem, printing 1 to 10, using do while, right? So over here, I believe that you understood now. It's the same thing. We put in this is our do block, and here is the code of the do block. We're printing, first make a line. Always it will make a one new line. BR means break. It will have a new line, and then we're saying the number is I, which is the value of I is 1. It started from 1, then we'll increment I to 1 to 2. So it will check 2 less than equal 10. Yes, true. It will go back to do block, then it will print. It will move to the next line, and then the number is now is 2, right? So same way, it will always add the value, of the number as the number is the value of I in text variable. So in text variable, it is having the value something like that. The number is 1, then new line, number is 2 for the next loop, then for the next loop number is 3. So it is holding all this value, but didn't print. It will print only by when the loop is done, the condition is false. It will move to compiler, will move in this line. For when this line will execute, that time it will print, it will show on your browser this as a live output, because we're saying we're using a document object to find this paragraph, using this ID, and then we're using inner text HTML code, inner text HTML method, and then we're passing this a text variable. So text variable have the value, have the result of all this line, and when you pass over here, so text variable will pass over here. So over here it means you will have all this value, all these lines over here. So since this is a paragraph, that's why it is showing as a paragraph. Okay, so this is actually as a paragraph, it is as a paragraph. Okay, so that's the way you can say, using the JavaScript object, which is a document, to to display the line, like the number is 1 to 10 in your browser like this, using do while condition or do while loop. Okay, I hope it's understandable, and it's easy concept, but it's very handy and helpful to run the same line of code again and again. It depends on what kind of loop you are trying to use. Okay, so one of the things is like, just remember do the difference between do and while. So do will have the block of code will run at least once, and while, only the while block, when you use the while while will will run the block of code for a while. It depends on the condition, right? We have seen in our previous example. Okay, so that's all about the while and do while loop in JavaScript. Stay tuned. In our next lecture we're going to see for in, all different 3 types of for loop in JavaScript. Thanks a lot. If you learn this from this tutorial, if you like it, please share the video and subscribe the channel. Have a good one. Bye bye.